I, Emily Shen, had planned with my husband, Evan Turner, to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary with a trip to Tibet. However, he broke the promise. He said that this period was a critical stage because the company was preparing to go public, so he could not leave. I understood him and had already prepared to cancel the hotel reservation in Lhasa. Yet at that very moment, my phone received a booking confirmation notification. The reservation was successful under the names Evan Turner and Kelly Miller. Room type: a large bed double room for a honeymoon. I had always thought that Evan was simply a workaholic. Because he was so obsessed with pursuing his career, I believed he did not understand romance. I never expected that he had long since chosen love, just not love with me, but with someone else. I stared at the message on my phone, completely numb for half an hour. In front of me was the luggage I had just taken out of the car, planning to put it back into the closet. Meanwhile, my phone screen still displayed the hotel booking notification in Tibet. Evan Turner was taking his little secretary, Kelly Miller, to Tibet. At that moment, I remembered the message he had sent me yesterday. "Honey, this is a critical stage for the company right now. I can't go to Tibet with you. Once the company goes public, I'll make it up to you properly, okay? I have to go on a business trip for the next few days, and will be very busy. I might not be able to reply to messages or answer calls. Please don't be mad at me." At the time, I understood him and replied, "Make sure you take good care of your health." It turned out that all those words were merely meant to cover up his trip to Tibet with Kelly Miller. Yet on Evan's social media feed, everything was related to work, images that presented him as a capable, professional, high-achieving entrepreneur. But that was fine. I still had my ways of finding out what I wanted to know, because his little secretary, Kelly Miller, could hardly wait to let the whole world know just how much her boss doted on her. At 1 a.m, Kelly Miller posted on her social feed, "They say that if you say I love you in the place closest to the sky, heaven will hear it." Beneath the post were 9 photos arranged in a 9-square grid. In every photo, she was holding hands with someone else beneath the vast blue sky. Those images felt like knives stabbing into my eyes, because I knew those long, slender hands all too well. They were Evan Turner's hands, and on his ring finger there were still faint marks left from where a wedding ring had just been removed. Many friends commented under Kelly Miller's post, asking why she did not publicly share a photo of her boyfriend. She replied, "I just want him to belong to me alone." In the days that followed, from Lhasa to the Karola Glacier, then to Shigatse, Everest Base Camp, and Namtso Lake, Kelly Miller shared their journey every single day. I smiled bitterly. The trip that I had spent many days carefully planning and preparing ultimately became a happy vacation for someone else. On the final day of the trip, Kelly Miller made another post. "Under the witness of the gods, he said he wants to marry me." In the photo was Evan Turner's hand, wearing a wedding ring with a strong Tibetan ethnic style. Their fingers were intertwined, just like before. After staring at that image for a long time, I quietly turned off my phone screen. Evan Turner and I, Emily Shen, had been married for 10 years. The place we had always wanted to go to together the most was Tibet. He had once promised that we would definitely go there together on our wedding anniversary. Yet when that anniversary finally came, he still went. Just not with me. I once thought that we could hold hands and grow old together, but it turned out that even vows can change. I never expected that our love would end this way, and so it ended in the 10th year of our marriage. Kelly Miller, the young secretary who had been closely following Evan Turner, had only been by his side for a year. She joined his company as an intern in her senior year of college. She was young and beautiful, full of enthusiasm and curiosity about the world, drawn to risk and thrill, including the thrill of loving a boss who already had a wife. She was like a warrior, charging into battle for love. From the moment she realized that Evan showed her a bit of favoritism, she officially declared war on me. She took the initiative to add me as a friend and sent me messages filled with provocation. Back then, more than once, I suggested that Evan fire her, but he always acted indifferent and only said lightly, "Emily, Kelly is just a kid about to graduate from college. Why are you competing with her? She's just joking around. Don't take it to heart." A 20-year-old girl daring to say such suggestive words, words that only women could truly understand, drove me so angry I felt like I was going crazy. Yet Evan kept shielding her again and again, repeatedly emphasizing, "Just ignore her. What could possibly happen between me and her? It's nothing more than a superior-subordinate relationship." Yes, that was what he said. But every time he received a call from Kelly Miller, he would leave me without a word. From that point on, I began to suspect that his heart had already started to waver. Then, on the 8th day of Evan Turner and Kelly Miller's trip, I received a call from the hospital. "Hello, is this Miss Shen? Your husband is currently at the Central Hospital. He has injured his leg. Please come to the hospital immediately." My mind exploded. Injured? I immediately drove to the emergency department. As soon as I arrived, I heard several nurses gossiping nearby. "What happened to the patient in bed number 3 today? Evan Turner disappeared again. It's already time for his injection, and no one can find him. Isn't his wife pregnant? There are signs of a possible miscarriage, so he went over to the obstetrics department. But that pregnant woman is really something, 3 months pregnant and still ran off to Tibet to travel. She's lost her mind. She had to be hospitalized as soon as she got off the plane." Hearing this, my legs went weak, and I almost collapsed on the spot. Didn't the doctor already say that during the early stages of pregnancy, intense marital activity isn't allowed? Those two really don't know how to take care of things. There's already bleeding, isn't there? Don't they even know this basic knowledge? They're just too in love as a couple, couldn't hold back. Didn't you hear? They went to Tibet for a honeymoon. At that moment, an older nurse standing nearby frowned and cut them off. Enough. They're not husband and wife. Patient privacy has nothing to do with you. Then she lowered her voice and said, "I already called Evan Turner's legal wife half an hour ago." The nurses immediately fell silent. Oh my God, so Evan Turner went to Tibet with his mistress? And ended up harming the baby too? I really thought that woman was his wife. Shh, stop talking. If someone else hears this, it'll be trouble. At that moment, I felt that our 10 years of marriage were ridiculous to the point of being pitiful. In the past, Evan had always said he did not want children and forced me to agree to live as a child-free couple. I loved him, so I endured all the pressure from both families and accepted a life without children, just to keep my promise to the man I loved. Yet now I discovered that he had a child with another woman. So it was not that he did not want children, he simply did not want children with me. I forced myself to calm down and slowly walked into the ward. "Hello, I'm Evan Turner's family member. Didn't he injure his leg? Where is he now?" As soon as I finished speaking, several nurses looked at me with eyes full of pity. Eyes filled with things they could not bring themselves to say. "Hello, ma'am. He seems to be in the obstetrics department. His secretary is showing signs of a miscarriage and needs surgery." I immediately turned and walked toward the doctor's office, then went to the obstetrics department to confirm once more with the physician. I said I was a friend of Kelly Miller and asked whether she was really 3 months pregnant. The doctor looked at me and nodded. "According to the B ultrasound results, she's already 12 weeks along. Your friend was far too careless, pregnant, and still flew to Tibet, and on top of that, didn't know how to take care of herself in terms of marital activity. That really was reckless. But she's still young. If she takes better care of herself in the future, she can still get pregnant again. Just now, her husband already signed the consent form for the surgery." I lowered my head and looked at the surgical consent form. In the section for the signer's relationship, it clearly stated husband and wife, and the signature was Evan Turner's. I immediately went to the obstetrics department. Evan Turner was standing outside the operating room, waiting. When he saw me arrive, he hurried over. I showed no expression at all and simply looked at him as I asked, "You went to Tibet with Kelly Miller, didn't you?" Evan's face grew paler by the second. He reached out in a panic, trying to grab my hand. "Emily, you're mad, aren't you? I didn't mean to hide it from you. It's just that Kelly said she'd never been to Tibet before, and her birthday wish was to set foot there once. I thought that since I had already canceled the trip with you and the hotel booking couldn't be refunded anyway, I might as well take her along. I was afraid you'd misunderstand, so I didn't tell you." I pulled my hand out of his grasp and continued. How many months pregnant is she? Evan hurriedly explained. Emily, don't overthink this. Listen to me first. I pressed my lips together and kept questioning him. She's 3 months pregnant. That child is yours, isn't it? I stared straight at Evan Turner until even his lips turned white. Even at this point, he still shook his head and tried to justify himself. No, that's not it. I signed the form because she had no family with her. I'm her supervisor, so I had to sign on her behalf. There's nothing improper between her and me. Don't think nonsense. I straightened up and looked at him coldly. Evan Turner, do you even believe the words you're saying? What you did in Tibet, you know it better than anyone. Didn't you propose to Kelly Miller? Didn't you become a couple with her under the witness of the gods? Then what am I? Our 10 years of marriage, are they just a joke to you? Faced with my questioning, Evan looked exhausted and said softly, We should calm down for now. Take some time to think it through, and then we'll talk. I didn't respond. I turned and walked away without looking back. Behind me, I heard Evan calling out, Emily, there really is nothing improper between Kelly and me. You can't accuse me like this without cause. But I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him. I walked straight past the nurses outside and left the hospital. Before I even made it home, I received a message from Kelly Miller. You know everything already, right? Yes, the baby is Evan Turner's. The person he loves is also me. He stopped loving you a long time ago. Since that's the case, why don't you take the initiative and get a divorce? Evan is soft-hearted. He won't be the one to bring it up. But can you really stand letting your husband wear a green hat? Why suffer like this? You're just after his money anyway. If you're decisive enough, I can tell him to give you more assets. A successful man like him obviously needs a child. You're not pretty, and you hide at home all day like a parasite. What right do you have to stand beside him? Are you still worthy of being Mrs. Turner? Looking at her messages filled with self-righteousness, I let out a cold laugh. A parasite? It seemed Kelly Miller was still far too naive. She didn't know that even the startup capital for Evan Turner's business had been put up by me, and that all of his company's financial backing and professional connections were painstakingly built by my own hands. Even the documents prepared for the company's IPO were written by me, word by word, on his behalf. But there was one more thing she didn't know. If I could lift Evan Turner to where he stood today, then I could just as easily drag him straight down, leaving him ruined and disgraced. On the day Evan Turner was discharged from the hospital, I still went there. After all, we were not yet divorced, and the discharge procedures still required a family member to handle them. As soon as I reached the ward, I saw Evan Turner helping Kelly Miller down from the bed, gently saying, "Let me go take care of the discharge paperwork for you." While supporting her, he lowered his voice and said, "Do you know how much trouble the miscarriage caused me? I told you to be careful, but you kept acting recklessly. Now the baby couldn't be saved, and on top of that, Emily found out everything." He had Kelly Miller kiss his cheek and coax him softly. She said in a spoiled tone, "I know I was wrong, baby. I didn't know you had other plans. If you had told me earlier, I definitely would have cooperated with you." Evan Turner nodded and instructed her earnestly. "The company is at a critical moment, preparing to go public. Nothing can go wrong right now. At this stage, I still need Emily Shen's help. Over the next few days, don't appear in front of her, and don't be too close to me. Once the company successfully goes public, I'll talk to her about divorce. Go home first today. I'll personally take her back. I'll placate her until everything is settled. Do you really think we won't be able to be together?" Kelly Miller wrapped her arms around him and said sweetly, "My darling husband, how can you be so smart and capable? I really can't stand being away from you for even a second. Hurry up and finish dealing with the company matters. I want to marry you as soon as possible. Just thinking about you lying next to that woman makes me unable to bear it." After that, the two of them embraced and kissed passionately again, their ambiguous, hurried breathing clearly ringing in my ears. I withdrew the hand that had been about to push open the ward door, turned around, and left the hospital. I took out my phone and made a call, my voice cold and steady. "Stop all investment into Evan Turner's company. Draft a divorce agreement for me. I'll send over the materials shortly. All work related to the IPO process halted immediately. My lawyer worked very efficiently. Before long, the divorce agreement was delivered directly into Evan Turner's hands. Yet, Evan did not come looking for me. The first ones to show up instead were his parents. They erupted in fury in the Shen family group chat. Do you even have a conscience? Because of you, Evan Turner didn't have a child for 10 years. You don't even have a job, and he never complained. Now that the company is about to go public, you suddenly want a divorce. Who do you think he's been working so hard for all these years? Wasn't it for this family? For you? How can you do something so heartless? Did you take advantage of my son's feelings while keeping another man on the side? You were the one who insisted on being a child-free couple. Evan didn't dare object. He was even willing to cut off his bloodline just to be with you. What right do you have to ask for a divorce? Their twisted accusations poured out non-stop. The entire Turner family joined in, condemning me and defending their precious son. I said nothing. I simply posted into the group chat the pregnancy examination report for Kelly Miller from the doctor, the surgical consent form for the abortion bearing Evan Turner's signature as her husband, the hotel booking confirmation in Tibet for the two of them, and the round-trip flight tickets to Tibet with both their names on them. Then I added another message. My silence does not mean I am at fault. I was simply trying to leave Evan Turner a shred of dignity. But since he no longer wants any face, then I won't preserve it either. The one who didn't want children was Evan Turner. Don't pin that on me. Moreover, he committed adultery during our marriage with his secretary and got her pregnant, and because of overly intense relations, it led to a miscarriage. Yet in your eyes, all of this still belongs to your good son. That's what you all did yourselves. You should even be congratulated. Soon you'll have a new daughter-in-law, young and beautiful. She may not have money, but everything else is just fine. But that doesn't matter anyway. Your son is capable enough after all. He clearly likes that kind of pure and innocent girl. After sending that message, I directly tagged Evan Turner in the group and added another one. I once thought that after 10 years of marriage, I would leave you some dignity. I never expected that you wouldn't want it at all, and would even dare to turn around and frame me instead. Evan Turner, don't treat everyone as a fool. After that, I posted dozens of photos, images capturing all kinds of intimate moments between him and Kelly Miller. Every single one of them had been sent to me by Kelly herself. Every word, every sentence was blatantly provocative, shamelessly explicit, with the sole purpose of forcing me to let go. I used to think that maybe Evan was only momentarily shaken, that it was just a bit of ambiguity and nothing concrete. I even thought it might be because I hadn't spent enough time with him, because I was busy handling overseas projects. I believed that once everything was settled, I would focus on the domestic economy and spend more time by his side. But I never imagined that while I was still struggling to hold our marriage together, he had already chosen to walk away from the path we were supposed to walk together. When those photos were made public, the entire Shen family group fell into dead silence, completely stunned. Soon after, Evan Turner called me repeatedly, angrily questioning me. Emily, take those photos down immediately. What right do you have to post pictures of me? Those are all fake. Are you out of your mind? Are you doing something so despicable just for a divorce? Are you trying to destroy me? Faced with his furious voice, I replied coldly, Evan Turner, do you dare say those photos are fake? Your precious little secretary sent them to me herself. Do you want me to forward the original messages to you as well? Evan roared into the phone. I already told you, Kelly Miller is just a kid. Why do you have to stoop to her level? She was just curious, just playing around. I only took a few photos with her. There's nothing shady about it. You don't have any solid evidence, yet you dare to slander me like this. I'll sue you. I let out a contemptuous laugh. Only someone as shameless as Evan Turner could say such things. Evan Turner, I've already told you, don't treat everyone as a fool. I have as much evidence of your affair as you want. If you want, I'll see you in court. In my divorce agreement, I not only safeguarded all of my own assets, but also attached proof that I had invested in Evan Turner's company from the very beginning. That meant all of the original capital belonged to me, and Evan Turner hadn't contributed a single cent. If I chose to pursue it, the actual owner of the company, should be me. That was why, when Evan Turner received the divorce agreement, he immediately went insane. He had considered the consequences of divorce, but he never imagined that those consequences would be so severe, so heavy that he simply could not bear them. The next day, when I returned home to pack my belongings, Evan Turner saw me and rushed over to hold me tightly. His eyes filled with tears as he said, "Emily, I don't want a divorce. Please don't be so cruel. I really know I was wrong. I'm begging you, don't leave me. I was just momentarily led astray. I truly know my mistake now. You know it too. I only love you. We've had 10 years together. Can you really bear to throw it all away? I know you love me too, don't you?" Those 3 words, "I love you," were like a blade stabbing deep into my heart. I pushed him away, raised my hand, and slapped him hard across the face. "Evan Turner, you are not worthy of saying the word love. What right do you have to stand in front of me and say that word? Over all these years, what haven't I done for you? I loved you, so I willingly sacrificed everything. But now I finally understand, it was all a lie. Evan Turner, you truly have no conscience. Even at the very end, you were still trying to calculate and take advantage of me. Now I genuinely feel disgusted with myself for having loved you for 10 whole years. I had heard every word of your conversation with Kelly Miller in the hospital. You never wanted anything more than to keep me around, so that I could help you finish taking the company public, right? Let me tell you this, stop dreaming." I looked at the man sitting on the sofa, covering his face, and there was nothing left in my eyes but icy coldness. I am a person who was deceived, and I know pain, I know despair. Evan Turner, from now on, live your life on your own. I will not help you anymore, never again. After saying that, I went upstairs to get my luggage. Before leaving the place I once called home, I took off the wedding ring from my ring finger and threw it straight into the trash. Just as I stepped out of the house and put my luggage into the trunk, Kelly Miller drove up. She got out of the car, saw me loading my suitcase, and immediately smiled smugly. "Oh, Emily, what's going on? Did you have a fight with Evan and get kicked out of the house? I told you already, what doesn't belong to you can never be held on to in the end. Evan Turner can only belong to me." I looked at her and nodded. "Then you'd better hurry up and coax Evan into signing the divorce papers. Otherwise, with your status as a mistress, you'll never be legitimate. That title doesn't sound very nice, does it?" As soon as I finished speaking, Kelly Miller's expression changed drastically. She screamed angrily, "Mistress? What are you talking about? Evan and I truly love each other. You're the real loser. Do you hear me? You're old and outdated. The one who isn't loved is the third party. Who even cares about a marriage certificate these days? If there's love, there's everything. Otherwise, why would Evan choose to travel with me on your wedding anniversary?" I smiled faintly, without a trace of anger, and said, "Here's the thing. The marriage certificate, when it's needed, is worth far more than love. Little sister, let me teach you a lesson. Very soon you'll understand just how important it is." From the moment I found out that Evan Turner was having an affair with Kelly Miller, I had gathered complete evidence of their extramarital relationship, intimate photos, ambiguous chat messages, provocative texts, and proof that she had deliberately tried to force me out of this marriage. And now, I had someone send all of it to the internal forum of the university where Kelly Miller was studying. Overnight, she suddenly became infamous under the label of mistress who intruded into someone else's marriage. On the forum, all of her messages and photos were widely shared. "Oh my God, isn't this girl a student at our school? This is seriously embarrassing. I don't even dare admit she goes to the same school as me. Wow, mistresses are really shameless these days. That man is more than 10 years older than her, isn't he? Clearly clinging to a rich guy. But his wife is prettier and richer than she is. No idea what that man was thinking. He must be blind. Still, she really knows how to take shortcuts, saved herself decades of hard work." That very day, the university quickly issued a notice to Kelly Miller, immediately suspending her internship and requiring her to return to campus for an internal investigation. Not long after, Evan Turner came to my company, his eyes blazing with anger. "Emily Shen, I never imagined you could be this vicious. Are you trying to destroy Kelly Miller's entire future?" I looked at him calmly and nodded without hesitation. Yes, she destroyed my marriage. Isn't that fair? Everyone who does something wrong has to pay the price. If people could make mistakes without bearing responsibility, what justice would there be in this world, Evan Turner? Do you know the fastest way to put an end to this scandal? Sign the divorce papers. You can say that our marriage had already broken down long ago. That way you might still salvage a bit of dignity for Kelly Miller. Now choose, do you want to keep her, or do you want to keep your money? Evan Turner roared, "You did all of this? Just because you want half of my company's shares, is that it? How can you be so ruthless?" I tapped my fingers lightly on the tabletop and said calmly, "I could take all of it. I'm only taking 50% out of respect for our 10 years of marriage." Evan Turner, you need to understand one thing very clearly. If I were truly ruthless, I could kick you out of the company with nothing to your name. And you know very well that I'm capable of doing exactly that, don't you? Evan Turner began to hesitate, but at that moment, Kelly Miller rushed in and dropped to her knees in front of him, crying pitifully. "Evan, can't you divorce her for me? The school is about to expel me. I might not even be able to get my diploma. Please help me, sign the divorce papers. In the future, I'll definitely make money and repay you. You love me, don't you? Or do you think money is more important than me now? Have you stopped loving me?" Her coquettish voice, mixed with tears and immature pleading, gradually shattered the last of Evan Turner's defenses. 3 days later, Evan Turner signed the divorce papers. I received 50% of the company's shares. 1 month later, we officially completed the divorce procedures. The moment we stepped out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, a bouquet of red roses was thrust into Evan Turner's arms. It was Kelly Miller. She was wearing an extremely short dress, holding up the bouquet as she stood in front of him and said sweetly, "Evan, marry me. I'll love you for the rest of my life and never leave you. I'll surprise you every single day and give you the most romantic love in the world." Amid the admirious and congratulatory gazes of the people around them, Evan Turner happily accepted the bouquet. Kelly Miller personally slipped the ring she bought in Tibet onto his ring finger. I almost laughed out loud. It was a cheap street stall ring, probably costing less than $50, yet he was moved to that extent. I never expected that at his age, Evan Turner could still lose his head so completely for love. I had no interest in watching any longer, so I turned and left the Civil Affairs Bureau. Evan Turner thought that once I had taken 50% of the company's shares, everything would be settled, and that the company's IPO was as good as secured. After all, who would gamble with their company's future, right? But he was wrong. I had never cared about that company at all. What I wanted was to make sure he would never be able to rise again. After the divorce, the first thing I did was sell all of my shares to someone else. At the same time, I withdrew all of my investments from the company. Evan Turner didn't realize any of this at all, because at that time he was still busy preparing for his wedding to his young girlfriend. The wedding was lavish and highly publicized. But just 3 days before the ceremony, Kelly Miller received a disciplinary notice from her university. The reason stated was that she had interfered in another person's marriage, causing the severe breakdown of a family. Her behavior was deemed particularly serious and damaging to the reputation of the university and its students. The final decision was expulsion. It was said that on the day she returned to campus to handle the formalities, Evan Turner personally accompanied her. Even though he repeatedly explained that his marriage had broken down long ago and that Kelly Miller was not a mistress, all of those excuses became meaningless in the eyes of the administration and faculty when placed alongside those ambiguous photos and the blatant, provocative messages. One professor, unable to hold back, said bluntly to Evan Turner, "Even if your marriage had problems, you should not have openly carried on with a female student before getting divorced. In your ex-wife's eyes, Kelly Miller was the third party, and you were the betrayer. Isn't that true?" As the two of them were about to leave the campus, a male student stepped forward and blocked Kelly Miller's path. He was wearing a white t-shirt and jeans, youthful and radiant, with a handsome face. His eyes were bright as he stared straight at Kelly Miller and asked, "Kelly, you're not that kind of person. Why would you choose to be with an old man like him? Did he use money to force you? Then he turned to Evan Turner, his face full of indignation. You really have no shame. You're old enough to be someone's father, and you still go around seducing college students. Kelly is more than 10 years younger than you. Don't you feel embarrassed? Take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Your skin is already starting to sag. Compared to Kelly, you're just too old. Hearing those words, Evan Turner's expression immediately changed. Age had always been a deep wound in his heart. Recently, because he was marrying a young wife, he had thrown himself into intense workouts, trying hard to keep his figure. But standing in front of a young man with firm skin and overflowing vitality, all of Evan's efforts suddenly seemed small and pitiful. His dull complexion and the wrinkles beginning to form around his neck were all signs of aging he could not hide. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became, and suddenly he swung his fist and punched the male student straight in the face. Who do you think you are, daring to lecture me? Do you know Kelly is about to marry me? The young man's cheek instantly turned red and swollen from the punch. Several students nearby could not hold back and began criticizing him. Just because you have money, you think you can hit people? You bring an outsider onto campus and still dare to attack someone? Kelly Miller looked at the young man's reddened cheek, a trace of guilt flashing in her eyes, and turned to scold Evan Turner. Why would you hit someone on campus like that? He's still young. Why stoop to his level? He didn't mean it. Then she turned to the male student and said, Jason, you don't understand what's between Mr. Turner and me. Go back to class. Jason shouted angrily, because of him, you got expelled. Do you really think it's worth it? He's nothing but an old man with money. Evan Turner frowned, grabbed Kelly Miller's arm, and demanded, Who is he? What is your relationship with him? Don't tell me he's your little boyfriend. We're getting married in 3 days, and you dare. Kelly hurriedly hugged him and coaxed him. How could that be? We worked so hard just to be together. She then clung to his arm, and the two of them got into the car and left the campus together. Not long after that, I received a wedding invitation from Evan Turner. He was probably just trying to flaunt his happiness in front of me. Unfortunately, I had no interest in attending that farce. After thinking it over, I had my assistant attend in my place. My assistant live-streamed the entire wedding and sent it to me. And that was when I learned that Evan Turner's parents did not appear at the ceremony at all. After finding out about his affair and the divorce, they felt utterly humiliated. On top of that, their son was about to marry a college student more than 10 years younger than him, who had just been expelled. They could not face their relatives and friends. A few days before the wedding, the two of them decisively signed up for an overseas tour. As a result, on the wedding day, the seats for the elders were occupied by Evan Turner's aunt and Kelly Miller's parents. The expressions on Kelly Miller's parents' faces were dark as coal from beginning to end. Who would want their daughter to marry a man more than 10 years older, divorced, and responsible for her losing her chance to graduate? But when Evan Turner offered tea and addressed them as his parents, Kelly's mother told her to hold up the teacup, her face grim. Evan Turner, I'll be honest with you. I don't like you. You're older, you've been divorced, and you caused Kelly to be expelled. But she chose you, and there's nothing I can do about it. After the wedding, the company will be handed over for Kelly to manage, and the shares will be transferred into her name. Consider it compensation for her. Then the two of you should hurry and have a child. Only then will we feel at ease. Her words made Evan Turner's expression change instantly. He was kneeling there, stuck in an awkward position, unable to stay kneeling, yet unable to stand up either. But Evan's aunt immediately shot to her feet. What kind of nonsense are you talking? What do you mean by too old? What do you mean by causing your daughter not to graduate? Why don't you just say it outright that your daughter is greedy for money and clung to Evan because he's wealthy? If your daughter hadn't taken the initiative to seduce him, would Evan ever have left his wife? Do you really think your daughter is so noble? There are plenty of young girls out there. Even without your daughter, our family could find 10 more. And you still have the nerve to blame my nephew for not having children? Your daughter already had an abortion once, and you still blame our family for not having a grandchild? If anyone is to blame, it's you for not teaching your daughter properly, getting pregnant, and still not knowing how to take care of it. The venomous words from Evan Turner's aunt threw the entire hall into chaos. The guests immediately began whispering among themselves, "Oh my God, he just got divorced and married again right away? So it really was an affair? He even got her pregnant and made her abort it? He's completely lost his mind. How could he throw himself at a girl like that? No money, no ability, just young. If he keeps playing around like this, he'll be crying one day." On stage, Kelly Miller's parents and Evan Turner's aunt were locked in a fierce argument, neither side willing to back down. What was supposed to be a highly anticipated wedding turned into a chaotic farce. The host never expected things to spiral this badly and was completely unable to regain control of the situation. I was sitting in my office watching the live broadcast. It was hard to suppress the sense of satisfaction as I watched the chaos unfold. Evan Turner might be good at playing around, but his aunt was an absolute master of verbal combat. And as for Kelly Miller's parents, according to my investigation, they were hardly gentle people either. When dogs meet cats, a vicious fight is inevitable. In the end, the wedding of Evan Turner and Kelly Miller concluded amid shouting, arguments, and utter humiliation. By then, I had already flown abroad, fully focused on handling matters at the international branch, and I did not return for half a year. As for Evan Turner, after the wedding, once his head finally cleared, he realized that I had already sold all my shares in the company. The strategic investors who had once planned to inject capital also withdrew one after another. He called me repeatedly, but I had blocked all contact long ago. After that, he went looking for my assistant, only to be met with my assistant's polite yet icy response. "Mr. Turner, in the past, Miss Nat Shen did so much because you were her husband. But now you are only her ex-husband. There's nothing wrong with her choosing not to help anymore. Surely you don't actually think the company grew to its current scale because of you alone, do you? To be honest, without Miss Shen, you would be nothing." In the end, Evan Turner could only watch helplessly as the company's IPO completely collapsed. Orders declined day by day, and the partners who once competed to work with him now turned their backs and ignored him. Only then did he finally realize that all his so-called success over the years had merely come from people showing respect to me, his wife at the time. Half a year later, I returned to the country. Along with me came my future fiancé, Daniel Song. This requires some explanation. After I went abroad, my parents finally found out about my divorce. They were so furious that their blood pressure nearly spiked. After that, every few days, they arranged blind dates for me. I didn't want them to worry any further. And I also thought I might as well let things take their course. Who knew, maybe fate would actually show up. What I didn't expect was that the person I ended up meeting was Daniel Song, the son of our childhood neighbor. We hadn't seen each other for over 10 years. He had already graduated from college and was now practicing as a lawyer. He was independent, capable, and mature, yet he had not lost his gentleness and warmth. He had also once gone through a marriage arranged by his parents, but after they married, his wife was involved in an accident and passed away. Since then, for 5 years, he had never taken another step forward. During one of his trips abroad, he happened to run into my parents by chance, and they took an immediate liking to him. What surprised me was that even though we had been apart for many years, we didn't feel distant at all. We quickly grew close again, just like we used to be. Our relationship developed very naturally, step by step. Like water flowing into a river, there was mutual respect and a deep harmony of souls. I once told him about my past relationship, but he only smiled gently and said, "Then I should thank that man for not knowing how to cherish you, so that I had the chance to meet you." I smiled as well, as if everything that had happened in the past had been nothing more than a bland joke. After getting engaged, we returned to the country. Even though both of us already had our main work based domestically, this return felt completely different. My parents were finally at ease. They held Daniel Song's hand, their eyes filled with the look of entrusting him with the most precious treasure of their lives. "We're leaving our daughter to you," they said. But unexpectedly, just after we walked out of the airport, we ran into Evan Turner and Kelly Miller. The two of them looked utterly haggard. In the crowded airport, they were loudly arguing. Kelly said impatiently, "I told you already, Jason is just a junior from a lower class. I only went on a graduation trip with him. I didn't do anything improper." Only then did I notice that there was indeed a young man standing beside her, with a bright, clean-cut face, the very image of a handsome college student. At that moment, Jason looked at Evan Turner with open disdain. "You're already so old, shouldn't you be going home to rest? Just because Kelly is pregnant, do you expect her to stay home and serve you all day? The graduation trip was my idea. She married you. She didn't sell herself to you. Doesn't she get to have friends? Are you so jealous that the moment she interacts with anyone else, you're afraid of losing her? Weren't you so confident before? You're old and still trying to play at love. Wake up. Kelly is young and beautiful. You can't even afford to be jealous." Hearing those blatant provocations, Evan Turner completely lost it. He grabbed Kelly Miller's arm and shouted, "You're not going anywhere. You're pregnant. You need to stay home and take care of yourself. And your parents, too." Kelly shook his hand off impatiently and said, "Evan Turner, you should take a good look at yourself. My parents have always liked Jason. They've never said a single bad word about him. Don't you think maybe you're the problem? I can't do anything staying at home anyway. You guard your company so tightly and won't let me participate at all. I'm bored out of my mind. What's wrong with going on a trip with my classmates? Where did I do wrong?" Evan Turner was on the verge of collapse and roared, "It was all for you. I divorced Emily Shen for you. The company was destroyed by her and can't go public anymore. I didn't want you to worry, so I didn't tell you. And this is how you treat me? You're still tangled up with another guy?" Kelly Miller's eyes widened in disbelief. "The company went bankrupt? You don't have money anymore?" "No, didn't you say that, as long as I married you, I'd never have to worry about money? And now you're telling me you're broke? Then go beg Emily Shen. She loved you so much, she'll definitely soften her heart. At worst, just say you want to remarry her. She'll definitely give you money." A sharp slap rang out as Evan Turner struck Kelly Miller hard across the face. He hissed, "What are you even saying? Are you still human? Do you know what you're talking about?" Seeing this, Jason immediately rushed forward and threw a punch. "What gives you the right to hit her? I already talked to my father. He agreed to invest in Kelly's project. When the time comes, I'll help her." Then he turned to Kelly Miller and said, "Kelly, a man like this, old and now poor, you should divorce him as soon as possible." Evan Turner immediately lunged forward and started fighting with Jason. Kelly Miller panicked and pulled him back, shouting, "Have you lost your mind? Why are you hitting Jason? Take a good look at yourself. Evan Turner, are you anything like the man you used to be? Right now, you're no different from a madman." After saying that, she didn't spare Evan a single glance. She grabbed Jason's hand and dragged him straight through the security gate. Evan Turner screamed after them that he would call the police. At the moment, he completely lost control. Daniel Song and I were standing right there as well. Evan saw me, his eyes instantly turning red, his voice choking in his throat. "Emily." Before he could even react, Daniel Song stepped forward, smiled politely and said, "Hello, my name is Daniel Song. I'm Emily Shen's fiancé. I'm a lawyer. If you need it, I can help you file for divorce. Or, I can also serve as a witness in a public assault case involving a mistress." Evan Turner lifted his head to look at me, his eyes filled with pain, but I didn't look back at him at all. I simply reached out and gently took Daniel Song's hand, glanced at him with mock reproach for deliberately provoking Evan just now, and then left the airport with him. The next time I saw Evan Turner was in a viral video on a popular social media platform. The footage showed Evan Turner and Kelly Miller having a violent argument outside the courthouse. He grabbed her by the hair, yanked her hard, and shoved her to the ground. The chaotic scene was recorded and spread rapidly. Netizens quickly began following the drama, digging up everything about their affair, the pregnancy, the expulsion, the marriage, and the divorce. Every detail was laid bare. As for me, I treated it as nothing more than casual entertainment. I relaxed at home with Daniel Song, eating dessert and watching reality TV. He even snatched my phone away and told me I had to pick him up from work the next day. The following day, I went to the courthouse to pick up Daniel Song. Unexpectedly, the moment I got out of the car, I ran into Evan Turner and Kelly Miller. Their divorce hearing had just ended. There were no assets to divide, only a mountain of debt left behind. Evan Turner looked so haggard and emaciated that he was barely recognizable. When he saw me, it seemed like he wanted to greet me, but before I could even react, Daniel Song walked out from inside. I stepped forward, handed him the bouquet of roses he liked, smiled brightly, and gently kissed his cheek. "You worked hard today, honey." Daniel Song froze for a second, then smiled happily. "So you've agreed to marry me?" I hooked my arm through his playfully and replied, "Then, when are you planning to propose?" He laughed, wrapped his arms tightly around me, and walked with me to the car as we drove away together. As for Evan Turner, that day he stood alone in front of the courthouse, with no one by his side. The wind brushed against his shirt, making it tremble slightly. He stood there, watching my figure disappear into the distance. Only then did he finally understand that everything he had once possessed was truly gone, and would never ever come back.